Stop everything, because what allegedly exploded behind palace walls may be the most brutal royal warning in decades. Prince William has reportedly reached a point of no return, and the message being whispered through royal corridors is chilling. Prince Harry may now serve as a living example of what happens when family pain becomes public profit. Read that slowly. A living example. Not a brother to rescue. Not a son to welcome back. An example. And if that is even half true, then this is no longer sibling tension. This is royal punishment unfolding in real time. Because when Prince William's name gets linked to comparisons involving Prince Andrew, people inside and outside Britain understand the severity instantly. Andrew became the symbol of disgrace, distance, and institutional embarrassment. Titles remained, but trust vanished. Public life closed around him like iron doors. So when insiders claim Harry is now being discussed in that same breath, it lands like thunder. Not because of scandal from strangers, not because of enemies attacking the family, but because of choices. Choices to speak, choices to reveal, choices to turn old wounds into fresh headlines. And then came the moment that reportedly triggered everything. Melbourne, Australia, a packed convention center. Around 5,000 people watching in person, millions more online. Lights dim, cameras ready. Prince Harry steps forward in a tailored suit, calm on the outside, but what followed was described by insiders as something far more explosive than a speech. They say it felt like a public dissection of his own bloodline. A psychological postmortem delivered live while sponsors watched and cameras rolled. Harry allegedly spoke of needing to cleanse himself from what he called a Windsor bloodline poisoned by indifference. Poisoned. That was the word echoing through reports. Poisoned is not a casual phrase. Poison suggests rot. It suggests danger. It suggests something that must be removed before it spreads. And if spoken publicly about one's own family, especially a royal family built on image, duty, and continuity, then the damage is not emotional alone. It is symbolic. But insiders say the room truly froze when Harry reportedly turned toward his father in words that cut deeper than any headline. He allegedly said King Charles loved the crown more than his own children. Imagine the force of that sentence. It doesn't just criticize a parent, it reframes a king as someone whose heart belonged more to an institution than to family. It transforms the crown from symbol of duty into symbol of emotional absence. And because Charles is already battling health concerns, the timing of such remarks reportedly stunned palace aides. Some allegedly called it merciless, yet that was only the beginning. Because according to the transcript, Harry then reopened the deepest scar shared by both brothers, the death of Princess Diana. But he didn't merely mention it. He reportedly used archival footage on a giant screen behind him. Slow motion images of two young boys walking behind their mother's coffin in 1997. The moment millions remember. The moment Britain remembers. The moment grief became global television. Now picture the scene. A dark auditorium, thousands seated in silence, and on a cinema-sized screen, the face of young William. Young Harry, shoulders stiff, eyes forward, pain contained because the world was watching. Those images, according to reports, were replayed frame by frame to support a thesis about trauma caused by the system. For many, that crossed the line because memorial footage became presentation material. Childhood grief became visual evidence. And if that wasn't enough, Harry allegedly claimed he and William were two pieces of the same shattered soul, but with one key difference. He chose freedom, while William remained trapped wearing the mask of a future king. That phrase hit hard. A mask. Meaning William's discipline, composure, silence, and duty were not strength, but performance. Not loyalty, but concealment. Not steadiness, but suppression. Then came the sentence that reportedly detonated the palace mood completely. Harry allegedly asked whether a man who cannot face his own trauma, his brother, could have the psychological health to lead a nation. Read that again. Not private frustration. Not family hurt. That is a public question about the fitness of the future king. And once words like that enter the world, they cannot be unsaid. Sources close to William reportedly say disgust replaced patience. For years, the palace had responded with polished silence, measured statements, elegant vagueness, refusal to wrestle publicly in the mud. But this time, insiders claim William saw something different. Not pain speaking, but profit speaking. Not healing, but branding. Not truth, but strategy. Then, a sharp internal response reportedly emerged One now repeated everywhere royal gossip thrives. The difference between a man and a child is how pain is used. One builds responsibility, the other sells event tickets. And if those words truly reflect William's mindset, then reconciliation may already be buried. Because here is what makes this story larger than two brothers. It signals a shift from emotion to policy, from hurt feelings to institutional consequences, from family drama to royal restructuring. For insiders claim William has begun backing what some call a protocol of severance, a quiet strategy designed to cut the remaining threads linking the Sussex brand to the royal machine. No screaming announcement, no dramatic ceremony, just doors closing one by one. And if true, the first doors involve image, access, legitimacy, and future leverage. The kind of doors celebrities need open. The kind of doors monarchies know how to close. Because this may not be about revenge at all. It may be about containment. And once a future king chooses containment over compassion, history changes. Containment is always quieter than revenge, and that is what makes it more dangerous. Because while the public waits for dramatic statements and explosive interviews, insiders claim Prince William moved in the opposite direction, toward paperwork, protocol, and silence sharp enough to cut careers in half. They say the palace began exploring ways to freeze the commercial power of the Sussex identity without needing a screaming public war. No headlines required, no emotional speeches, just systems. And systems, when used by a 1,000-year-old institution, can be lethal. The first alleged move was aimed at business value itself. According to reports, legal teams were preparing notices for corporations, publishers, talent agencies, streaming platforms, luxury brands, and anyone tempted to cash in on royal adjacency. The message was reportedly simple. Titles such as Duke and Duchess may exist formally, but using them as commercial fuel could invite resistance. That single warning changes everything, because companies do not fear gossip. They fear risk. They fear lawsuits. They fear letters from palaces landing on executive desks. The moment lawyers get nervous, million-dollar deals suddenly become under review. And under review is often where deals go to die. Think about how cold that strategy is. No need to strip titles dramatically. No need to create sympathy through public punishment. Simply make every future partnership feel complicated. Make every sponsor ask, is this worth the headache? Make every boardroom whisper, will Buckingham Palace become a problem? That is how institutions suffocate modern brands without touching them directly. Then came the diplomatic side. Reports suggest William's camp wanted foreign governments and British embassies to treat Harry and Meghan not as royal envoys, but as famous private citizens. That difference sounds small until you understand the money behind appearances. Official receptions, ceremonial access, high-level escorts, security symbolism, red carpets, state-like treatment, those images create value. They sell prestige. They justify seven-figure speaking fees. They convince audiences they are still witnessing monarchy in motion. Remove that illusion, and what remains is celebrity. Valuable, yes, but not priceless. And then there was the archive issue, perhaps the most brutal move of all. Reports say palace gatekeepers were considering shutting future access to historical materials, private correspondence, old footage, family records, internal references, everything that once gave Harry's books, interviews, and documentaries their unmatched currency. Because let's be honest, the market does not just buy Harry, it buys access. It buys the unseen room, the unheard story, the hidden memory. Without fresh access, every new project risks becoming repetition. Same pain, same palace, same old wounds. And audiences are cruel when stories become repetitive. They move on. That is why insiders say William understands something many do not. Starve the source and the spectacle fades. If no new photos emerge, no new revelations surface, no new royal material exists, then commercial storytelling becomes harder each year. The vault stays closed. The mythology cools. The algorithm hunts elsewhere. But while London allegedly built walls, another storm was gathering in America. Harry's past admissions regarding drug use, discussed publicly in memoirs and interviews, reportedly kept attention fixed on U.S. immigration questions. Legal campaigners pushed for transparency, asking whether status or influence played any role in his visa path. Suddenly, the issue was no longer royal gossip. It was fairness. Was a prince treated differently from ordinary applicants? In the United States, that question burns fast. Because America has little patience for inherited privilege dressed as exception. And insiders say William's position was ruthless in its clarity. Harry wanted independence. So independence means facing legal complications alone. No royal shield, no discreet cause, no palace parachute. If that is accurate, then the message was devastating. Freedom means freedom from support too, not only from rules. Then came what some described as William's biggest long-term idea, the covenant of duty, a proposal proposed future principle that anyone high in the line of succession should commit to avoiding commercial conflicts with the crown. In plain language, choose duty or choose monetization, but never both. No half in, half out. No crown by heritage and celebrity by contract. No one foot in palace marble and the other in Hollywood branding. That concept matters because it transforms an argument into architecture. It means Harry would no longer be the issue. The system itself would be redesigned so no future royal could repeat the model. This is how monarchies survive scandals. They turn chaos into rules. They convert embarrassment into precedent. They let one crisis teach the next generation where the lines are. Then came Australia again, where appearances reportedly began turning awkward. Meghan's hospital visit, initially presented as warm charity, became controversial after observers noticed monetized shopping links tied to clothing shown online. Whether intentional or careless, the optics were brutal. Sick children in the frame, commerce in the background, charity beside commission. Once people believe service is being packaged for sales, trust drains fast, and public mood, according to reports, shifted colder. Expensive retreat tickets slowed. Critics mocked the couple as treating Australia like an ATM. Empty seats became symbolic. Enthusiasm looked thinner than expected. Meanwhile, back in Britain, William's image reportedly strengthened simply by doing less, supporting his father, carrying duties, standing beside Catherine during recovery, saying little, showing up. That contrast is everything. One side speaking constantly, the other side enduring quietly. One side monetizing narrative, the other side embodying duty. Britain has always had a soft spot for stoicism, and when crisis hits, restraint often wins over performance. So what is April 2026 remembered as in this story? Insiders say it may be the month Prince William truly became guardian of the throne, not by wearing a crown, but by proving he understood the mechanics of power. Real power does not always roar. Sometimes it withholds access. Sometimes it refuses rescue. Sometimes it says nothing at all while doors close behind the scenes. And what of Harry and Meghan? If these reports are accurate, they now face the most dangerous space in modern fame, the celebrity void, the moment when controversy remains loud but novelty begins fading, when grievance repeats itself, when sympathy becomes fatigue, when the institution once blamed simply moves on without you. Which brings us back to the original question. If someone profits from family grief, what does the family owe them afterward? According to this unfolding palace logic, the answer is terrifyingly simple. Nothing except what they asked for: distance, freedom, independence, separation, life without the shield. And here is the final sting. The monarchy Harry described as cold may have been protecting him all along. The silence he attacked may have been patience. The distance may have been mercy. But mercy, once exhausted, rarely announces itself when it leaves. It just stops arriving. The royal civil war may be over, but the reckoning, that part may only be beginning. Part may only be beginning. Part may only be beginning. Part may only...